Who is your daddy?
I am your father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?
All right, well, let's go ahead and get this show started. That was some technical Olympics we had to do, but this is episode 184 of Fathers of the Grind. My name is Tim Nestor, here with Daniel Freitas.
Yeah.
And Derek Teague is here as well. He just had to step away. Hey, listen, there's family stuff happening, okay? So cut him some slack, like he doesn't do for any of us. So he'll be back at some point. We'll talk some Outer Worlds. I want to talk a little Call of Duty Modern Warfare. But before we get into any of that stuff, Daniel, now's our chance. If there's something we want to talk about that is not a AAA game, not some dude bro shooter, that's not some major release, now's the time before he sneaks back in. Are you playing anything that's not something Derek would care about?
Well, Tim, thank you for asking. That's a good segue. So let's see if I can get this in there. See this little guy right here? Oh, actually, it's gonna be blurry, isn't it?
Your blur is killing it. Oh wait, there it is. There it is.
Yeah. So this is a little Gundam model.
Nice.
Just trying to see if I can unblur it. There we go.
Nice.
So this little Gundam guy, and
Okay.
that's not complete. So there's still a back piece that's gonna go back here. But yeah, there's a little hobby I recently took, or started doing.
So wait, these are things that you order and it comes in the pieces and you have to assemble and paint it?
So you don't. Well, you can paint it, and maybe at some point I'll feel confident enough to do that. But essentially, there's like little stickers that you need, like basically like tweezers, because some of them are that small, which I don't like.
So you're assembling it and then putting stickers on insteed of the paint. That's cool.
Yeah, they're like on a frame, and they're kind of like just little piece. There's like just a little bit attached to the frame, so you twist it and then you click.
Do you have like one of those old man microscope thing or like magnifying glasses that you're leaning down and you just like wheel the more powerful one in place?
Yeah, I should do that, right? The giant that just flips over my head.
Yes.
Like Doc from Back to the Future.
Absolutely. And then as you need to zoom in, you just like bring in a few more and they layer on top of each other.
Yep. So
That's what I'm picturing.
yeah, it's pretty cool. It's actually pretty chill and relaxing. It's unless you're just somebody who gets stressed out about like trying to like fit little things together and you can't handle that, like
Unless you hate life. I mean, that's Legos, man. That's the good stuff.
exactly. So if you like Legos, I think you might like this. And the instructions are in Japanese, but there's basically pictures with the numbers and letters in English that you would understand. So it's actually super easy to put together. So
Nice.
but everything comes in Japanese because these are actually made in Japan. So
When was the last time they put out a Gundam game? Has it been a little while?
no, I think there's been like a couple over the past like year or two.
There's been a couple over the last year?
I think there was one last year, yeah. I don't really follow them. I think there was one last year where it kind of was not like you're making the Gundams, but there was like a crap ton of models in the game, and like it was like super detailed, and you can actually climb out of the Gundam, I think, and walk around. I might be mistaken, but I swear on Easy Allies they were talking about it.
All right, let's see.
But
here.
yeah,
We
they still
got-
make them.
We're going to have Wikipedia help us out here.
Sure.
Wow. They've got it broken up by publisher, which makes this difficult. I was just hoping for by year. Let's see.
Is it Namco Bandai?
Does Gundam Versus ring a bell? That seems like it was relatively recent.
That might be the one I'm thinking
That
of.
says
but-
2017.
Okay.
Gundam Breaker 3, I'm not sure.
Actually, I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, that's a PS4 and Vita game.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, so
And
they're still churning them out.
Yeah. Well, like they do make new anime series of Gundam. Like that's still going. I haven't been into them since Gundam Wing and G Gundam back during when I was in high school, the Toonami days on Cartoon Network.
I remember Toonami, yeah.
Yeah, they had Gundam Wing, which I think that was the first one that I watched, and I was super into that one. And then G Gundam was a little more campy, but it was really cool because they actually like stood inside their mechs, and like the main dude there, basically his mech was like he did like martial arts, and his hand would basically, it was called Shining Finger, so his hand would basically become super hot, and he would grab the opponent by the face and just crush the Gundam's face. So
Sounds lovely.
yeah, he would yell out Shining Finger.
All right, so there's one that came out even it was a little bit before Versus, or the other one we just talked about.
Yeah.
This one's SD Gundam G Generation Genesis.
Sure, that's not a mouthful
Um,
at
but
all.
it did also come to Switch, PlayStation 4, Switch, and Vita. So, and that was 2016. That one. So interesting. Yeah, they're still churning them out. There you go.
I don't know the specific name of it, but there actually was a, and if you're into, I don't know if we could say ROMs on here. I don't know if that's kosher, but
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people in high positions listening to this, so be careful.
but there was a Super Nintendo fighting game of Gundam Wing back in the day that I remember when I would
Super
do
Nintendo
ROMs.
had a Gundam game?
Yeah, it was a fighting game. It was a 2D fighting game of Gundam Wing, and it was actually really sick. And I remember liking that one. So if you're into that sort of thing, yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So you're doing some assembly, basically Legos, but with Gundam stuff. It's basically
Yeah.
what it is, even though it's not Legos, but that's
Right.
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And Story of Seasons still with the wife.
Story of Seasons.
And Division 2, I played a couple hours. I haven't played
Hey.
with Derek yet. So.
How do you like it?
I mean, it feels basic. So far, I mean, I'm only a couple hours in. It feels the same to me. It's just a different setting. And to be honest, I like the snowy New York setting more just because that was a little more unique to me.
Yeah, this feels like it's more of a spring, maybe summer, and it's
Yeah.
in DC.
Yeah.
So it does have a different vibe to it.
Yeah. I feel like I've seen a game like this before numerous times, whereas that was a little more unique. But it's still like a fun game to play with people. I mean, I haven't played this one yet with like Derek or anything because I know Derek picked it up, and I think Alan said he wanted to play it, so
Nice.
we'll figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, there he is. He's back. Did you kill your whole family or just some of them?
I can't say on a live recording.
Fair. Let's talk about it after the show. We'll talk about the details.
Did you pick their names out of a hat, and then just kind
I
of?
don't even know their names. So it doesn't-
Fair. He just has them by numbers.
You don't have as many kids as this guy.
Your time has come, number 2.
Yeah.
Who does number 2 work for?
Who does number 2 work for?
All right. A couple things I'm playing that I want to talk about before we get to Outer Worlds. Of course, I'm still playing The Witcher 3 on the Switch. I'm down in Velen exploring, and because I did all this, I did 100% of White Orchard. I wanted to finish all those things, and then so now I'm exploring Velen, going all over the place, doing a bunch of side quests, hitting up all those question marks. That game is just great. I'm so excited to be back in that world and playing it again. And it's, again, I'll say it again, it runs and plays really well on the Switch. We already dug into this in a past episode, so go back and listen to, I think it was just last week or the week before, we talked about the Switcher 3. So you can go and listen to that. But we all had good things to say, of course, about The Witcher 3. But specifically, I really, for the most part, I have a glowing reviews of The Witcher 3 on the Switch. So I'm enjoying that. It is a nice thing to have, especially on a day where the kids are taking the screen, or maybe I'm watching football, and I can just be playing The Witcher here on the side and do some side quests. I love it. So I fired up a game that I got through, I can't remember if this was through Game Pass or Games with Gold. I can't remember, but I had it downloaded on my Xbox One X for a while. And I finally thought I'd give it a shot. I think this was either Wednesday or Thursday, because I was kind of waiting for the 2 big releases of this week to drop. And so I fired up Void Bastards. Have you guys tried this game?
I have not.
Bastards. No.
So Void Bastards, for some reason, the artwork of it kind of looked like, it's a very comic booky, little cell shaded, and I thought, oh, this is probably some sort of side-scrolling action adventure, maybe even strategy game. But I fired up, and they give you control of the character, and it's in first person. And yeah, it does have that kind of cartoony, cell shaded style to it. But it's a first person game. There's some elements that feel first person shootery. It's more of a survival / roguelike game than it is real first person shooter, because you have very limited ammo and stuff like that. I'm sure later in the game you can really build up stuff, but the gist of it is that it's a roguelike game with tons of exploring. You start out in this ship and you're getting instructions from this computer. It's all very tongue-in-cheek. I don't think it's Portal funny, but it is pretty funny, some of the lines that you get. And slight spoiler here if you're going to go play it, but it is really funny where you get to the end of the level and then they overwhelm you with aliens that board this ship that you're trying to loot. and they kill you. There's no way to get away from it. You've got no bullets. You can't fight. And so you're dead. And then you realize that this backpack thing on your back is actually this little robot. It detaches from you and your body, and then it takes you back to the main. That little thing floats back to the main ship. Then they resurrect using the DNA of some random person. This is where the roguelike part comes in. It resurrects some new random person. They look different. They've got all different characteristics. Like I just recently, one of the more recent runs I had was a guy who is super short. And they described it as diminutive in nature. And he's really, really short. You're kind of like in a crouch position always. And so you can't, and so it's kind of hard to reach stuff that's up high. But enemies can't shoot at you over like half walls and things like that. So again, it reminds me a little bit of a first-person Rogue Legacy in that respect, because when you get in Rogue Legacy, you get a new character, and they have, hey, they can jump really high, or they've got super good armor, or they can cast magic. This is a similar thing where, for example, the second guy that I got, he's a smoker, and so every once in a while, I'm trying to sneak around, he'll start coughing uncontrollably.
Oh, really?
And reveals your position because he's a smoker.
That's fun.
They have these DNA chambers where you can go and you can get rid of a bad trait, or you can add a new good trait. So they've got things throughout that allow you to add, and this is all for each run, right? So you got to collect food and fuel to go from ship to ship. Some of them are selling you stuff. Most of them are for you to basically go through and scavenge. And you break into the ship. Pretty much all of them are floating lifelessly, and they have what used to be humans that are now kind of these monstrous creatures. It's all kind of, yes, it's kind of funny, but it is also dark. Some of the creatures reminded me of. You guys ever see, oh shoot, what's the name of that Miyazaki movie with like the big bathhouse and stuff? It's got some creepy creatures in it. Spirited Away.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's some real creepy creatures in that. And so
Yeah,
some of these creatures remind me of those as they're shooting at them. Anyway, all that to say, I think Void Bastards is worth a shot. If you've got it downloaded, give it a try. It is difficult. Again, it is very survival based. And when you die, you lose a lot of stuff, but anything you've crafted sticks around for the next unlucky human who gets resurrected by this robot, and you can keep using stuff. So kind of interesting one.
What was that cell shaded game on PS2? Was it 13?
Yeah, I remember 13. Yeah.
And then was it 7 or something? No, not 7, because that's the movie, right?
I don't know about 7.
There's another one that I'm thinking of. I can't think of the name, but yeah, 13, where it's like it kind of like reminds me of that, but this looks like it's in space. So.
Yes, it is all in space, and you're going from spaceship to spaceship, and it is interesting. I mean, to their credit, it's a very interesting take on the roguelike and first-person survival type of genre. But anyway, that one's interesting. So another one I got with Games with Gold, I think it's right now it's active with Games with Gold, is Tembo the Badass Elephant. It's this really fast-paced, side-scrolling game.
I played that one actually when it came out because it looked
it looks good
and cute.
The visuals are pretty good, right?
Yeah, I got a little bored with it though. It got a little repetitive.
Very quickly, actually. So I didn't play it for very long. I didn't love it. It wasn't my gameplay style. It was more Sonic than it was Mario because you just get rolling real fast and busting through stuff, and you have to react really quickly. So it's a little more arcade, a little more Sonic style, but the artwork is really good. So again, that's a free one with Games with Gold. If you've got an Xbox or a PC, just go give it a shot. It's not too bad. Last one I'll talk about real quick is called Creature in the Well. It's just another Game Pass game that came to all consoles, but it's free on Game Pass, so I tried it. And very unique setting. The setting reminds me a little bit of Recore because it's kind of in the desert and there's these robots and things like that. And the basic gameplay is you're a robot, but the basic gameplay mechanics are you go from room to room and there are these little glowing orbs and you have to, it's almost like a golf or pinball in a way because you have to hit them against these walls a certain number of time to get them to disappear. And then you eventually have to use your ricochets in some smart ways while avoiding enemies. It's kind of a puzzle / action game, so it's interesting. The artwork in that one's really good too. So Creature in the Well has a really cool art style. But anyway, again, these are games that they were free to me, and I thought might as well give some of these a shot before I get completely, and I currently am, occupied with much bigger games. They're going to keep my attention for a while, so just thought I'd give some of those a shot. So there you go. Those are some of the things I've been playing. Derek, anything non-Outer Worlds or Call of Duty that you've been playing that's worth mentioning?
Didn't I finish it? I finished Days Gone, but didn't I finish another game? I thought I finished another game after Days Gone.
I don't know.
What recently released? Jeez Louise, I don't have a memory anymore.
We
I
had
don't recall.
things like The
Don't
Witcher. You didn't finish that though. I know that.
No, I barely touched that, and I didn't finish Zelda on the Switch. But there was something else I think I was playing on the Xbox. It was right after Days Gone, and I finished it.
Gears 5?
No. Y'all talk about something else, I'll look it up.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's pretty much it as far as stuff I've been playing. I promised Derek I would not talk about any mobile games. I really haven't been playing many of those this week because there's been lots of console stuff to play, which has been cool. By the way, quick side note, non-gaming related. I've got a friend who he actually installs fireplaces. That's his business. And so we've got this wood burning stove that's been sitting in our living room for a long time that we've never used. It looks clean, and I kind of tried to stick my head up there to look to see, like, does it look clear? It does, and we get a good draft of air. But I had no idea was this thing safe to use. So he came in today and helped me look at it because our temperatures here, yesterday was 75, and today and for the next whole week it's going to be high in the 20s.
Jesus.
And so
Really?
we need so we need some warmth. So anyway, he helped me get that thing fired up. And it's amazing.
So you haven't used that the entire time you've lived there?
No, we've lived here
wow.
for 2.5 years and hadn't used it.
Yeah, anyone that I've ever known that has one of those, like they're like, that's all I use. I don't even use the heating system.
No,
in the
that's
house.
and I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Dude, let me just come over and look at it for you. If I'm worried about something for you, I won't. You can sign up to have us come clean it, but
yeah."
He'll just look. He goes, "I'll just look at it for free." And so he did, and he helped me get it started for the first time. Kind of gave me some instructions on how to use it, and it warmed up the room pretty quick. I was like, "Dude, this is great!" And it's actually underneath 3 of our bedrooms, so I have a feeling it's going to help warm those rooms a little bit too.
Oh yeah,
and
it's going to save you some money.
Save a little money on that furnace. The only thing is keeping the toddler's hands and whole body out of there.
Sure. Yeah.
He is very curious, but anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I did figure out what I finished. I knew there was something else. So I finished Days Gone, but I think I talked about that on the last show, that I really enjoyed the game, even the story. And if I didn't, I'll just say it real quick. I thought Days Gone actually had a decent story. Do I still think the acting's cheesy? Did it run way too long? Yes.
Did it have a lead character that was really hard to like? Yes.
Yeah, and his little sidekick. Ambiguously gay duo was annoying as well. But I was like waiting. Exactly. I was like, oh, I'm waiting for this guy to die. But spoiler alert, he never dies. Anyway, so I finished Borderlands 3. So that was that was the big game that I wanted to beat before Outer Worlds and Call of Duty came out. So I wanted to get through that. I was able to do that. I gotta say, and I kind of said it in the group. I try not to share too much in the group because I want people to listen to our show if they care about my opinions. But I just basically said that Borderlands 3 went from being probably my second favorite Borderlands to probably my first. I'll have to replay it again, but the reason why it jumped to first is because I like. Not only did I think the campaign's good, I don't think it's as funny as the other two. I still think it's good. I think it has a really good villain or villains, and they finish out the story really well. But the thing that kind of set it apart is I really like the Proving Grounds. So, and for those who don't know what that is, basically the Proving Grounds is almost like a strike from Destiny, not as much as a strike from Destiny, maybe a smaller version of even a strike. But it's basically you just go from room to room killing waves and waves of enemies. And then if you can, and it's actually hard, it's really hard. If you can, you finally get to the final room and face a boss. And then if you destroy the boss, you unlock really good loot. But the whole time you're doing the Proving Grounds, you're unlocking a bunch of loot. Most of it's trash. Sometimes you'll get good stuff, but that trash is beneficial because you can sell it and get cash, which helps you upgrade like the amount of ammo you have, how many items you can bank, all that type of stuff, which anybody who's played the game knows what I'm talking about. But also, you get whatever your teammates get. So one round, just one round, I went from $100,000 to $7 million, and so I took that $7 million, went to Marcus, and just upgraded my grenades, all that stuff. So it makes the campaign easier. That's why I'm sharing this. So you go through the Proving Grounds, you're leveling up a lot faster. Like I went from level.
Real quick, Proving Grounds. How long does it take? roughly?
If you do it, like finish it, it probably takes 25 minutes because they even have a time limit on there.
Well, that's not
it
that
says, yeah, and it's just
and can
waves
you do it
and
solo,
waves.
or do you need a group? I
think it's automatically grouped. Like you have to play with others, but you want to do it with others because it's impossible solo. It's almost impossible with others.
Communicate with them, or is it possible to just kind of run through and shoot?
That's why I said it was like a strike from Destiny. There's no like puzzles or anything. You're just going in, killing a bunch of enemies, then you move to the next room, kill a bunch of enemies, move to the next room, kill a bunch of enemies, boss fight. There's no
that because I'm scared of other people, Derek. Okay, I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm frightened.
People are the worst. We know this, Tim.
You discover how terrible people are on freaking Rocket League, but
so true.
No, you don't need to talk to. Well, I'm one of them. You don't need to talk to anybody.
It's also true.
100%. I just went off on a guy earlier, but
of course you did. You're an adult, obviously.
You need to come up with a new acronym. Instead of IDC for I don't care, it just needs to be I care too much. So it's IC2M. Okay.
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah. But I like those I don't care battles online. I don't care. You obviously care because you responded. I don't care that you don't think that I care that you
I don't care that you don't care.
It's so stupid. We all care. Shut up. So, anyways, no, you don't need to talk to anybody. You can just play it. And like I said, the point is it helps you upgrade your character, but you're also leveling up. And here's how it impacts the campaign. Obviously, you're richer, so you can buy more things. But when you go into the campaign, whatever you level up in the Proving Grounds carries over to the campaign. So, for instance, I was like a level 27, 28 when I really started doing the Proving Grounds. When I finished, I was level 40. And you would think I did tons of hours of it. I didn't. So you level up really fast. The level 40 allowed me to go through the waves of enemies in the campaign with ease. The cool thing is, though, the boss fights go up to your level. So even if you're like a level 50 and you go fight the final boss in the campaign, he's a level 50 or she's a level 50.
Gotcha.
Spoilers. So, so they move the boss fights up to your level. But everybody else stays the level.
Challenge stays there for the big moments.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like that. At first I was like, no, I just want to kill everything real fast. But then I was like, then I get why that would make the Proving Grounds
That's the argument I made for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I didn't mind that things in the world kind of scaled with you. I liked that the whole world was a little bit dangerous wherever you went, but whatever.
Yeah, I understand. I think in those situations, and I think we've talked about it before, but now that I see it even more in this game, I think it should be the choice of the player. Like, hey, I want everything to stay the level of the mission, no matter how high I get. And then, obviously, then you can choose, well, I want everything to scale with me. But I can understand both ways. But anyways, Borderlands 3 ended up being fun. Like, I liked the villains. I liked the story. I liked how it played out. Is it perfect? No. It's right now my game of the year, but I really think it can get passed up, and I think the game I'm playing right now that we're going to talk about has a shot at passing it up.
Yeah, I'll just take it straight into that. Hot take, I think Outer Worlds is way better than Borderlands 3. I think it's...
I don't think that's a hot take.
It's hard to compare them directly. They really do play way differently. You could make the argument that maybe the shooting mechanics in the Borderlands games, especially in 3, perhaps are better. But that's about it. Everything else about Outer Worlds I like a lot more. But let's leave Borderlands 3 alone. It is a very good game. I recommend people to go play it, even though I gave up on it. I'll go back to it eventually, but I feel like I got my fill for now, and I'll play it later. But let's talk about Outer Worlds. You guys are both playing this, right?
Yes. I'm like 9 hours in.
All right, so you're a little farther than us, but Daniel, tell me what you think so far about this game. What are your overall impressions? What jumps out to you?
So I actually played quite a few more today, so I'm actually probably closer to where Derek is.
Okay.
Did you already leave that first area, Derek? Or?
Oh, yeah. I've gone to like 3 or 4 planets. Or 3 or 4 areas.
I'm earliest on. I'm still on that first planet. I'm at
okay.
What I think is the major point of getting ready to leave that planet. As you said, the major decision point that they face you with early in the game. So that's where I still am. But go ahead. What do you think about it so far?
So if we're going to like throw a generalization at it at first, it's space Fallout with a little bit of BioShock sprinkled on it, I think.
Without a lot of the jank from Fallout.
Yes, exactly. There's like barely any jank. I mean, the characters still move kind of awkwardly, like very close to how Fallout is actually, which is funny. But but then when you're having like a face-to-face conversation, like their animations are actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And like the lighting actually, like I don't know if you notice, like when you click on someone, you're talking to them, the lighting like gets better, but then like when you back out, like it doesn't look quite the same. It's almost like the character model when it just shows their face is like different.
Yep. There was one in particular where I went to talk to this guy. I was trying to help them solve a mystery of where this girl Zoe disappeared to, and I went to talk to this guy sitting on the porch, and he's sitting in the shadows of this porch. It was nighttime, and I start talking to him. All of a sudden, his face gets real bright as he's talking to me, and he stands up. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you look really detailed and pretty decent, and then like it, not that it looks bad when you're not having the face to face, but like it just it looks a little different. So but yeah, it's fantastic.
How would you describe the overall genre of this game? I know you said it kind of has this Fallout vibe, but for those who haven't played Fallout, for example, or BioShock, maybe even. First of all, shame on them for not playing BioShock. Fallout, who cares? But
well, hold on.
Yeah, shut Tim up. This is why Tim should be in charge of the show.
Fallout 3 is one of the greatest games of all time.
But tell us, describe what would you call the genre of this game? Or the genres? It's got to be multiple.
I mean, I would say like first-person RPG.
Yeah.
It's a first-person RPG. With obviously, other little things you can kind of throw in there too, but yeah, it's a very detailed, very dense, very like when you're having conversations with people, it's very dense type of open world first-person RPG.
Yeah, and I think they give you a pretty good little opening area, too. The whole game opens with this scientist kind of picking someone out at random to save from a ship that's been floating for a while, and they give you all those details. But that's when you get to create your character, which is cool. I like the character creator. There's a whole lot of options there. And then it throws you into this world, and basically the idea is you're getting acclimated to the game. Most of the enemies are quite easy, and the idea is just get used to the controls, what the quest system is like. It's a relatively small area compared to, most open world games. But I like the way that they approach the opening so far. At least it doesn't feel hand-holdy, but it also doesn't feel overwhelming. So I'm able to get stuff done.
Well, that's what I like about it. And I think that's what we discussed with the previews and stuff, because it didn't look like how like a Fallout 3, New Vegas 4, or an Elder Scrolls game is just like, here's the whole thing. There's like a whole actual open world area, like an entire city or something, or state, like half a state. It's almost more like a Dragon Age Inquisition or a Mass Effect, where it's like big areas, not like huge, but like I don't think it's tiny, but it's not.
No, there's plenty to explore.
Yeah, but it's like areas as opposed to like this massive open map that you can just like go from one side to the other and takes like 2 hours in real time to do or something.
Well, and they get away with that by making this a planet to planet, like you're jumping planets, which is the same thing Andromeda did. Andromeda did.
Yep.
You're jumping from planet to planet, and then every planet you visit, there's something wrong with that planet that you have to fix, which limits your ability to explore it openly. So they keep it kind of linear, and then it opens up. This is the same thing. Like you're going into these smaller areas. They're not as big, but they're different looking regions because they're a totally different planet.
Yeah. The tragically overlooked Starlink did the same thing. You can go from planet to planet, but you just really are exploring set areas on that planet.
Yeah, which I'm fine with, honestly. I'm kind of over open world, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I want to go back to linear experiences and get rid of all open world. I'm not saying that. I think there's a place for open world.
It's evolving, though, the way people
think
open worlds.
Exactly. And Daniel and I talked about it. I think it was the week it was just him and I, and we talked about, or at least I did. I said I think the open world games are becoming almost like that checkbox, like, okay, what's the next game we're going to create? Okay, we got to create an open world game. Well, what does that mean? It means we got to have them do a bunch of tedious bull crap to keep them busy so they play this game for 60 hours and they don't complain about it online saying this game's only a 15-hour experience. So the reason I like this is not only is it smaller, like as far as there's not as much to explore, but the whole reason I'm playing this game is, yes, the gameplay is fun, but I am actually playing it like how I would play Knights of the Old Republic or even the original Mass Effect. It's more story driven. Like, I'm focusing as a guy who doesn't care about story anymore. I used to, but I don't care about it anymore. I'm actually enjoying, I won't say I'm enjoying the story. I think I'm enjoying the decisions I'm having to make, so I actually have to pay attention to these people. Like, I'm having these conversations and I'm going, I don't like you, so I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to betray you. And so that's kind of what I'm caught up in, and that's what I'm enjoying more than just gameplay amazing. No, it's kind of floaty, to be honest with you. Does it play better than Fallout? I think so.
From the little I've played Fallout, and I have played it a little, I think it's a lot more fun to play.
It is.
Even like, because with Fallout, they needed to make the VATS system to compensate for how the actual gameplay was weak. Whereas in this game, there's something that's sort of like a VAT system, but you're just more slowing down time. Like, it's literally your character.
Yeah, it's kind of like Max Payne's stop time type deal.
Well, and at the beginning, at least, you're pretty limited on how long that can last. So you can't.
It's not very long
really
at all.
Think through every. Like, it's not like that. It just.
Well, if you stand still, it doesn't drain as much.
Correct.
It's when you're moving and shooting. So
correct.
Yeah. But you can still aim at body parts, so that's why I was trying to compare it to VATS, because
it does have similarities. Yep.
At some point, someone says, I forget, where it's like if you're aiming at the head, you know, if you're aiming at the arm, and you can cripple their arm, so things like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like Fallout 76, because Fallout 76 was online, so that Well, no, not like I'm not saying comparing the games. I'm comparing the system. Like Fallout 76, they couldn't stop the game because it's online. So you couldn't have me playing with Daniel and be like, all right, Daniel, I'm going into my VAT system, so can you wait while I'm doing my VATs on this enemy?
I kind of wish they did that. That would have been hilarious.
A bunch of, like, angry gamers. Why did my screen stop? But this is the same thing where it just slows down time, like your Max Payne or whatever, and so you can aim and you, like Daniel said, you can shoot at the head or whatever. I think the gameplay is fun. I just think it's floaty. Like when I first started playing, I was like, this is floaty, like Fallout. But I wasn't like really pissed off about it because I already kind of knew. Like you can just watch the game and be like, okay, this is gonna play floaty. It's gonna play like New Vegas, which they made. So it's very, very similar. I think it's improved, obviously, but like I said, I think what I like about it is the whole time I'm playing it is like with all the decisions, and you guys have you both have gotten to like the first major, like you're in a town. I'm not gonna spoil it, but you guys are going to know what I'm talking about. But you're in a town, and they basically give you multiple stories of who you should support, who you should betray, why. And
you hear both sides, and you get to decide.
Exactly.
Who to yeah.
And here's the cool thing, and this Daniel and I know we talked about this a few weeks ago, not for this game, but just in gaming in general. What I like is that as you're listening to each side, there's not a clear-cut villain.
Nope.
Like, there's no, like, as I was listening to the first guy, I was like, I don't like you. And then I went and talked to the lady, and I was like, okay, I'm going to side with the lady. Like, that's what I decided. And no lie, again, I'm not going to spoil it, but the lady said at the very end, she said something I didn't like. She gave me some details of why, how she does something, and I was like, you're a freaking creeper. And so I started stealing stuff from her, and she got mad at me, and I was like, you know what, Biatch? I was gonna side with you. I'm gonna actually kill you. So I killed her. And then I went back to the dude and talked to him and then decided to kill him. So that's why I made a post in the group.
You destroyed the entire planet, that whole city. You just ruined everything.
I killed everybody. You have to fight the entire town. If you kill them, everybody turns on you. So I killed everybody.
You're the worst.
So, and I've done it in the other regions as well. I'm not kidding about that. But that's what I love. Like, now the next time I play it, I'll tell you what this reminds me of. I know I said Knights of the Old Republic. It does. But as I was playing it, I started thinking about this game because I played it 3 times and I loved it for this reason. It reminds me of Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Again, completely separate games, but as far as decision making, like the choices and who you side with and how it actually impacts what you're doing. It's not like some small choice. Like I was just sharing, because of my actions and what I did, everybody turned on me. And now I could have played it a totally different way. And the next time I play it, I already know these characters. I know their story. So I'm going to go into and go, all right, here's who I'm going to side with. Here's who I'm going to betray. And I'm going to have it all planned out. And that's what I did with Deus Ex Mankind Divided. The first time I played it, I was like, I don't know what's going on. And I just kind of winged it. I remember in that game, I actually was supposed to go to one character who's like this mob boss. And like he's supposed to give you this assignment. And the very first time I played it, I just killed him.
Dude, I remember you and I talking about this a while ago, and I didn't you and I had very different experiences.
Yeah, you didn't kill him, so you had all these missions.
I did a bunch of missions for him, and I ended up getting some awesome weapon for it, or something like that.
Yeah, and I just killed him and got the weapon right away.
Dang it!
But he's not easy to kill. But the point is like that's my plan with this game. And this is why, and it kind of ties back into what we were talking about earlier with Fallout being open world and stuff like that. To get through a Fallout game takes a long time because you get lost exploring and all that stuff. Sure, you can mainline, just playing the main missions or whatever, and maybe finish it a little bit faster, but they really require you to level up to go further into the story. In this game so far, and I actually was not turned off by this. I was actually happy about it when they said, hey, depending on how you play this game, you could finish this game in 15 hours. Now, I made the joke that I'm going to finish this game in 15 hours because I'm going to kill everybody. The only reason why I'm not going to finish it in 15 hours is because I'm actually doing the side missions quest. But if I wasn't, I'd probably finish it in 15 hours because
you can totally skip side missions. Not only that, you can cut every conversation short with what I would describe as a Derek Teague response.
Yeah.
Like some of the options are basically like, I've heard enough. I'm done talking to you. I don't.
I absolutely love those. I absolutely love those. So there's so many things I like about this game. So even though I know Sasan, I'm in like a
there
text
he is. I was waiting
thing.
for his name. I was like, where's his name?
It's coming, literally.
Okay.
Edit that, yeah. So anyway, so he was talking about it, and he hates the game, and I knew he would. Like anything that's not like plays realistically, where the guns feel real, everything feels real, he's gonna hate it.
I mean, he would have seen that if he just watched some stuff on it.
Just let the
stupid old muscular
the minority buy the games and whine and cry. But anyway, so the reason I bring it up is because if he would just go outside of that, forget that. I'm not saying you can't be upset by that, but that's not what the game's about. What the game's about is exploring the world, exploring the story, but also it's all about the choices, and it's all about the freedom to do whatever you want and then how they impact you. Yeah. And that's what I think I'm addicted to these games. That's why I played Deus Ex Mankind Divided 3 times. That's why I think I'm going to play this game multiple times. And the reason I say that, and that's what I was bringing up the time of the game for, is in a Fallout game, once I finish Fallout, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not going back and playing it. This game, I think I'm going to play it, and then I might do it back to back, but if realistically I don't, I know I'll go back to it. And I'm probably going to play it 2 or 3 more times.
Yeah, because there's just
a lot
of branches.
Exactly. I'm going to get totally different experiences, even though I'm playing the same game. So I really think they knocked it out of the park. I think there's a good chance this will be my game of the year. It'll probably come down to this one, Borderlands 3, and then all the stuff I'm hearing about the new Star Wars game makes me sound like I'm going to absolutely love that one. So I think that one has a shot. But I really think it's between those 3. But this one so far is really
mobile. Fantastic game.
This is why
you said you had a new appreciation from.
Yeah. Hey, so real quick, visually, what do you guys think about the way this game looks? Because my initial takeaway was, I'm playing Xbox One X on my 4K TV, and I think it looks really good. There's certain textures and certain pieces that aren't all that amazing. It feels like, this is just, this wall or the ground or whatever isn't amazing. But for the most part, I find it to be very colorful so far in the first area, and the characters are varied and interesting. Like you said, Daniel, the facial animations aren't bad.
Much better than Fallout.
Overall, I would say I'm impressed with the way it looks.
I was actually interested to hear what Derek would say, since he's kind of the high-end spectrum, and I have just standard PS4. And
I'm playing on PC.
What's
PS4
takeaway real quick before we
do it.
PC?
So actually, similar to what you were just saying, it's funny. Like right when I popped in, like when I landed on the first planet, and then I was looking up into the sky, and like it almost kind of looked like a sunset, but it was actually like the planet that's like very close to that planet. That it was like red, and then there's like there was just all sorts of like colors and everything around me. I was like, oh, this looks super nice. And then I kind of was like, let me just crouch down real quick and look at these rocks, and like it did look kind of a little blocky, like right with my face like right in it.
Yeah, there's some plants in particular that as you get closer to them, you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's not great. So let me just stay away. It looks nice.
Yeah, from a normal distance or far away, it doesn't look bad at all, even on the standard PS4. You do notice little things like I definitely noticed some of the clouds on the corners are a little more blocky than like the rest of the clouds which for the most part look good. But yeah, the colors are really nice. Like I think all of that kind of just makes it look better, and the lighting's pretty decent. Like I've seen the lighting bouncing off of like the water reflecting off the ground, which kind of hides some of those little things. So.
And the time of day stuff, the nighttime versus morning, and the in between, it does look pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what about the supercomputer? How's it look over there?
So I started on ultra settings, so that's the highest, obviously, and then my PC said you should do it on high, so I switched to the high. I didn't see much of a change, to be honest with you. It's running smooth. I don't know my frames per second because I didn't put it up there, but it's running smooth. I would imagine I'm definitely above 30, but it feels like 60, and it looks good. The color palette's extremely bright. So if you like that, you got that with this. There is, and you guys, well, Daniel's probably been there, but you haven't, Tim. There's a city you go to, I think, after that original town, and it's got like a BioShock vibe to it. It's very dark, but then it has all these like neon bright lights. It looks amazing. It's real shiny,
are you
real
talking
clear.
About that giant ship, or?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something Groundbreaker or something like that. Groundbreaker.
Yeah, Groundbreaker, yeah.
Yeah, so it's really nice looking. By the way, I killed everybody pretty much there.
Dude, come on. You're not going to have anyone in the game.
I'm glad this isn't co-op because I hate the way you play games.
I play games
that
like
way you guys can never find a way out.
That's the new oh boy. That's the new tagline for this podcast is I hate the way you play games.
That could be the name of our podcast now. Yeah. I hate your games. But yeah, so it looks really good. I think it's what Fallout 4 should have looked like, but it's not like if you're comparing it to, because you got to remember this isn't technically an open world game, so they should be a little bit more detailed than like a Fallout. Because they don't have as much stuff to build and make, but I would say it's not comparable to some of your high-end games, more linear games, but for more open games, I think it looks really good.
Yeah. Well, this is so like when we were talking about the preview, and I had mentioned this. This is why I appreciate that this game's a little more on the smaller scale as far as like the scope of the environment. Is like there's way more detail in like again the conversations. Not that Fallout didn't have that either, but I think it's pretty much on par, if not a little bit better. But just character interactions. Like the first recruit that I got, so you can get companions in the game.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that. Yeah.
So the first one I got, or the first one I guess that you get is is it Parvati?
Yeah.
She's like an engineer. And I
had
had her
by Ashley Birch, of course. I recognize that name.
Oh, was it?
That voice right away. Yeah.
Yeah. She's excellent because I think her voice is pretty. I think it's like one of the more better voice characters so far.
Her performance is great, but she's a great voice actress, so it makes sense.
Yeah. I went to the general store in that town, Edgewater. So the first city, town, whatever it's called. I went into the general store. And the guy in the general store was like, no, you can't come in here. And then I kind of was like looking at her and she said, yeah, no, don't worry, I'll hang out outside. And then you can, when you go to click on the general store clerk, he has the option of like, you can be like, well, what's the deal? What's going on there? And he explains, or does she say the story?
Well, she told me the story. I don't know if you could have gotten it out of him or not. He was just ticked off at her.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. That was an interesting
just little things like that.
Moment. Yep.
Just little character moments like that, or I forget. I walked into some sort of area and I was wearing a certain type of equipment, and they specifically called me out on it. They're like, "Oh, you're wearing that? Like, no, that's not gonna fly." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I remember
I talked to this one side quest mission giver and I freaked him out because the helmet I was wearing was apparently a Marauder helmet. And
Yeah,
he started
yeah.
flipping out because I had just equipped it.
I think I was wearing a Marauder armor.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Whoa, what's the deal with that?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, my bad." Like,
Yeah.
So I like swapped it out because I didn't need somebody like attacking me in the middle of the city all of a sudden. But but like little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I dig stuff like that when like the kind of contextualizing, like I'm wearing something, or like I have a character in my party and like somebody specifically is like, "Hey, wait a minute, like I'm not cool with that," and then it opens up a conversation and things like that. Like, I'm super into stuff like that.
They do a good job of like, well, they do a good and bad job. I'll say this to be objectively fair. So they do a good job with stuff like that, where like if you're wearing certain uniforms and they'll call you out for it because they're like, that's an enemy of mine, or the Marauders are not good people, so obviously everybody has a problem with them. But the issue I have sometimes is, I'll give an example since I already said it. So you have your first sidekick, the chick, right? She's got low self-esteem. She feels like trash. She's been treated like trash by everybody in that town, basically. She's a nobody. Well, and even when you first meet the first guy, like the first main guy, he basically talks down to her. So when I killed him, she was upset. Like, she interrupted right in the middle of me murdering him. She's like, "What are you doing? Why would you do that?" And then I'm like, this guy's a terrible person. And then she was like really mad at me, and then she was fine.
Yeah.
And so that stuff, and again, I understand there's just
It's
so
very
many things.
Video gamey. Yeah.
Yes, it's very video gamey because she goes from like she almost like she wanted to murder me to we kind of have a conversation about it, but it's almost like dropped. Like, well, I'm your sidekick because I'm programmed to be your sidekick.
I'm guessing they could probably leave though. I'm assuming you can do something where they'll get angry enough they might leave.
She was really angry with me, but then I basically told her that they treated you like trash, and she's like, "Yeah, you're right." But it was kind of, and that's just one example. There's been others. It was real drastic. It was like a total shift. Like she was bipolar. Yeah. Like so upset. Well, my wife's always like, "You're bipolar. You're bipolar." So I should be able to relate to her. But that I've run into it a few times where I'll be talking to somebody, and then based off my actions, they'll get upset or they'll be fine, and then the next second it's totally different person, or they act like that didn't just happen. And so again, it's that gaming limitation. But overall, they do a good job of making it feel real. But there have been moments where I've been like, "Oh yeah, this is still a video game."
Right. I mean, maybe if your response to, like when you, because I don't know how it was worded, the response you gave her. Was it more kind of like, "Listen, like, I had to do that. I'm sorry. Like, they treated you like crap," or was it more like, "Hey, like, shut up. Like, they treated you like crap"? Like,
I mean, are you really asking me
which
how
one do
I
you
would
think Derek picked?
Well, no, because I mean, obviously, there's generally what seems like there's 3 responses you can give, and like it kind of almost seems like it's a good response, neutral, whatever response,
or end conversation response, right?
Yeah, which is exactly. So I was wondering if it was more like Derek.
I actually
shut up, like I did.
No, I think I actually tried to talk to her for a little bit, but then it kind of just ended, and I think it was more her than me, and then that's what I said. Like I went back, and I think the reason why it felt weird is we had the conversation, and then we were right at my ship because I'm leaving, and she's like, "Okay, I'm on board. Let's go." And I'm like, "You were just really mad at me, like you wanted to kill me 2 seconds
Did you get
ago."
the second companion from that first area, by the way, doing those side missions?
I did, yes.
From the first area, or
the very first area? There's a second person you can recruit if you do some side missions for them.
I probably killed that person, to be honest.
You probably did if you killed the whole town.
Yeah.
So when
I have
those of you listening who haven't, or very early on in the game, I won't tell you who it is or anything like that, but when you get that first mission that Pavarti joins you on, there's a side quest, kind of like a little optional piece of that mission. So before you go complete that mission, just do what she asks you to do in the town first. She'll say, "Let's go talk to so-and-so first," and do that person's request, and then you'll see what happens. So, anyway.
Okay, so then I probably don't, because I have Pavarti, I have another guy, but he is from the Groundbreaker area.
Right. Felix, is it?
Yes, and then I have a robot that I unlocked.
Yeah, so you missed this one. I wonder if we can go back.
Sam.
Well, no, they're dead. Never mind. You can't go back.
So that means Derek killed one of the possible companions.
Well, to me, okay, so call me crazy, but I feel like that's kind of awesome that this game can let the paths go that many different directions. You totally missed that skill, that mission set, and also he was just another NPC that you killed instead of a potential companion alongside. So that's interesting that the game lets you do that,
Which I probably could have killed Felix too, because I originally was like, oh, it was weird because I was walking by.
I hate this town. I'm killing everyone.
And I ended up getting in a firefight with a large group of people. Like the town, like that Groundbreaker, there's still people on the ship because I can't kill everybody. They're high level. But I got into a big firefight in like a huge area of it, like the bar and all that. But when I walked by Felix, I was like, oh, this guy kind of looks like he's somebody that could join my ship. And so I started talking to him, but I could have easily passed him up because I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think he was like, hey, hey.
He wasn't.
He's just standing there. Like, you could just walk by him and never interact with him.
Yeah.
He wasn't like, hey, I want to join your ship.
Again, that's to me, that's a smart way of rewarding players who are curious and willing to explore and talk to various characters. It's a good way to reward them. It's like, hey.
And even this conversation I'm having with you guys and you saying, hey, Derek, you miss this person because you did something stupid, makes me go, okay. But this reminds me of Deus Ex. There were certain things I missed in Deus Ex because I played Deus Ex the same way. It was just like, here's your options. You can either kill everybody or talk and unlock more missions. I was like, I'm just going to kill everybody. And that's what I'm doing here. So I think when I go back, and I will play it again, I'm going to do things differently.
Yeah,
I'm going to
it's funny you mentioned Deus Ex because that game, of course, there's a heavy emphasis on stealth in Deus Ex. And I think you don't have to, but I think it's advisable. So this game also has some stealth elements. It's actually a whole skill you can continue to build up where you got stealth skills in addition to things like tech skills or melee and all that kind of stuff. But I will say this, the AI has proven itself to be pretty unimpressive when it comes to stealth. And again, it's a video game. I totally get it. I'm not expecting everything to be perfect. But it's hard to ignore the fact that you could walk up onto a group of marauders and they see you and they even maybe are about to attack, but if you duck down into the tall grass, even if you're holding this bright red glowing plasma sword like I was,
of course,
they start going, where'd he go? Do you see him? I don't know. And then they go back to their little patrol right beside you.
Yeah.
You're right there in the grass. So
just video games. Yeah.
It's because video games. So I get it. I don't hate it. I totally understand why that's a thing, but it's certainly worth calling out that it still has plenty of video gamey things, but I think the things that it excels in are the things you guys already talked about, the conversations, your choices in conversations, the decisions they give you in terms of which direction the story should go. I also think the RPG elements are very strong. There's tons of loot. There's tons of loot. There's a really cool crafting system where you can do different kinds of mods that are added. There's a tinkering skill you can build up, and you can really tweak the stats on certain items if you really like certain items. Of course, breaking them down and getting materials to create other stuff. So the crafting system's pretty great. I
try to do a balance of breaking stuff and selling because if you want to repair,
you need that money.
Yeah, you need the money, but you also want to make sure that you're repairing your equipment so they can be at max.
Yep.
I gotta share this because I thought this was cool. I think you guys will appreciate it. Because of how I played in the first two areas, there's a point where you go back and I think it was a mission. You go back to the guy who found you. And so I go back and I talk to him, and he's behind like this glass area that I can't get to. I can't shoot him. I can't do anything. And my character asks, like, why are you like hidden behind that? And it's hilarious because he responds, he's like, I don't fully trust that you're okay, especially with how he said this, especially with how you dealt with those two people in the town or something like that. Like basically saying, you killed
calling
them.
You out.
Yes, you killed them, so I have no idea if you're going crazy. And I just thought that was hilarious. I'm like, this game is reading my actions and then having him respond.
But I mean, that's what a game should do. If it's going to give you choices, then let me see the impact of those things over time. That's
it also makes sense because, like, so when he revives you, like, and how it opens up how you choose your character, he's saying like, oh, I'm checking like your vitals and all that, and Are you having any side effects because you've been in stasis for X amount of time? Like, so he's almost kind of like acting like your doctor. And I guess in Derek's case, he's like, hey, are you actually going insane? Because murder.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he ended up saying. He was just like, with your actions and the way you're acting, I don't know if you're going crazy.
Which
I'm
is,
like,
by the way,
I'm not.
That is their convenient way of explaining your little time pause capability.
Yeah.
That, your stasis has kind of given you essentially a superpower. But there are skills that you can unlock over time, and you can level up these essentially sections of skills, and under each of those you'll have these sub skills. So, for example, if you level up ranged, it can increase your long range weapons, your ranged weapons, and those kind of things. Your melee does your one-handed as well as two-handed, and so on. And so as you get those each up to a certain level, it's usually like a 20, and then I think 40, and up to 100 from there. That's when you unlock potentially a major skill, or at least some sort of new improvement. Like, hey, now you can actually target limbs with this particular weapon type that you couldn't do that before, or whatever. So they'll have that. They also have perks that you can add on, and as you level up, you get to activate more perks at once. That could be anything from increase your health by X percentage, or walk faster instead of walk, because you are walking pretty slowly unless you're running. All that kind of stuff, and you get to unlock perks for your companion as well.
And based off of how you play, also like things you're doing, it'll ask you at some points like, hey, do you want to take a perk point? But if you take it, you have maybe -1 in dexterity, -1 in health, or whatever it can be. But you can take this perk point, or you can decline it and stay the same. So it's based off of how you're acting. Like the very first time I started using the meds or whatever for health, like kept taking the shots real quick. They were like, "Hey, you're using a lot of drugs. Do you want a perk point? But if you use that perk point, you get negatives in this, and this." I actually declined that first one, but since then I've gotten another 3 or 4 that they've asked me based off my playstyle, and I've taken the perk point. So it's pretty cool. Like, again, it's the game paying attention to how you're playing and saying, hey, you keep doing this, we'll give you a perk point, but this is the negative results because of how you're playing.
Yep.
Or you can decline it.
Yep.
The skill that lets you level up for conversations. I mean, like in Fallout, it's always super important, but in this one, like I've done a lot of like lying and convincing and persuading like way more than I did in Fallout. So I would say invest in that one quite a bit because it's super helpful.
To me, the two things is what Daniel just said. Conversations are huge in what you can say, and even though I end up killing a lot of people, I actually enjoy persuading and lying and intimidating, which is what I do. Like every time I get caught stealing, they give me a chance. They're like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'll just say, I can either lie, persuade. I have multiple options because I'm very high up in conversation. And so I'll intimidate them or persuade them, and then they'll walk away. But if you do it again, then they'll shoot you. Because they're like, oh my gosh, you did it again. But so conversations is huge. But the big thing I'm going to suggest to players is lock picking. There's a ton of it. And in the beginning, you don't have much of those.
Stuff.
Yes, there's in the beginning you don't have a lot of those like mag things or whatever, but if you level up your lock picking, you get to a place where you don't even really need those. Like I have over like 50 of them.
Yeah, so certain chests might take 1 mag or 2 or up to however many, it could be 5.
But if you keep leveling up, you don't even need.
Your lock picking says, hey, you don't need. If it's a 1 mag chest that you need, then you actually don't have to waste that mag. You can just do it for free. Mm-hmm. So it becomes very handy, even early on.
So those are the two major ones, and I'm obviously focusing on combat too, but that's what I'm really focusing a lot of my leveling up points, and I feel like I'm leveling up good. Like it's a good pace for my 9 hours in. I think I'm like a level 15.
That's not bad.
Overall,
I think it's fair to say that we all like this game and are recommending it to folks. It's very deep.
Yeah,
lots to do.
I would say this because of people like Sasan, and there's a lot of them out there. If you like the stuff that Daniel, Tim, and I talked about,
one of a kind, you jerk.
But there's a ton of them actually out there. If you like that type of stuff, like exploring, conversation, solving mysteries, where your choices impact the world, that type of stuff, this is a game for you, and freedom to do whatever you want. If you want a good shooter, stay away. It's average at best. That's not why you play this game. It's not a Doom. It's not going to feel crisp and clean.
But some of the guns are fun. Some of them are cool.
Some of them are. And I will say this, the weight of the guns, except for the energy weapons, I always found energy weapons in Fallout and in this, they just feel so lame. But the actual like shotguns and machine guns, all that feels good.
They do have the additional sort of perk of like frying an enemy, though.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I use the science weapons because they're very powerful. In fact, they're considered like the exotics. If there's like rare ones that if you find in the game, like you actually have missions for them, they're very powerful. But like any weapon that uses like the energy ammunition, like that's my main ones I'm using now because they are powerful, but they don't feel good. They feel so cheesy.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. Let's talk about Call of Duty.
Worlds, we overall do like it, but speaking of good shooters, I want to talk real quick about Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Pew, pew, pew.
Don't know if either of you have played this or even own it. I know. Well, I guess Derek, you definitely own it.
Really, dude? Yeah. Really?
Daniel, did you?
I'm like 2 hours into the game.
Right? So the thing is, like, I this does look interesting. Like the campaign actually looks really good, and from the first couple of trailers, I was like, oh wow, this actually looks really solid. Like it looks less Michael Bay-ish, but I don't like Activision. I don't want to give them my money. So
That's fair.
I'm gonna wait for a used
Derek,
copy.
did you play any of this yet?
Yeah, I'm like mission 7. I think there's like 18 missions.
Yeah. So I'm about the same spot, I think, give or take. This game is awesome. So
I really like it.
It's the best looking game I've probably ever seen. It just looks amazing. Like we talked about the facial animations and models for a game like Outer Worlds, and I'm not expecting it to look like this, don't get me wrong, but with Call of Duty they continue to just up the game with visuals, and every character just is so well animated. Everything from their eyes to the way their mouth moves when they're talking, their expressions, it's just so good. But I haven't done any multiplayer yet. I plan on trying some of that this week. I don't plan on playing it a lot because multiplayer is pretty much everyone's better than me, so I don't have a lot of fun with multiplayer.
Yeah.
But the campaign is so good. It's really, really good. So when this game goes on sale, for those of you who aren't really into buying, probably about a 6-hour campaign for $60, totally get it. Makes sense. When it goes on sale, get it, because this campaign, I think, is probably the best that I've played for a Call of Duty game. To me, it combines the best pieces of some of the modern military type movies. If you ever watched stuff like The Kingdom, or if you saw...
That's a good movie.
It's a great movie. Or if you saw 13 Hours, which I know you said Michael Bay, but that's actually a really good Michael Bay movie.
Is that the one with Chris Pratt?
No, it's got John Krasinski.
Oh, wait, John. Yep.
And believe it or not, Michael Bay directed it. But he
did. That's a good movie, too.
It's a really good movie. There's actually an entire sequence in one of the missions that, to me, is completely based off of that idea of we're huddling in this compound, and it's dark all around us, and we see these suspicious vehicles in the distance, but it's very quiet. And then you see movement in the dark grass. You're like, what the heck's about to happen? Where are they? And you start shooting flares up into the sky, and then it illuminates, and then boom, you see the enemies have been approaching sneakily and stuff like that. It's very intense.
Super tense.
Oh, I love it, man. They've done a really good job with this. And on top of all that, just like all Call of Duty games, the shooting is pretty much perfection. The guns are amazing. I think this gun selection is actually some of the best they've had, because it doesn't feel futuristic Black Ops 3 and 4 style where it's, you're half robot, half human, jumping off walls, doing all your stuff. This is very grounded in reality, and I think the weapons reflect that, and they're awesome. So I'm having a blast with it. I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying it. So I heavily recommend Call of Duty Modern Warfare, especially if you, like me, really got on the Call of Duty train with Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and that's when I started playing the multiplayer, and the campaign was good. I liked Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. I enjoyed all 3 of those games, and then I kind of fell off the Call of Duty wagon after a little while, but I'm back on for the moment at least. I'm really, really digging it. I won't say too much more about it other than it's beautiful, campaign's interesting. I imagine multiplayer is just as reliably fun as ever. I just haven't tried it. But
so
I'll definitely play the multiplayer too. I just don't think I'll play it much.
And by the way, the acting is fantastic. I think I can kind of anticipate some sort of twist coming up, but there's also this is not for the faint of heart. I think it's the second or third mission where you're in London and a whole bunch of stuff happens, and if you forget...
Feels real.
it's a video game, absolutely, 100%. It's a video game, but it felt kind of scary and sad as you're doing all this stuff in London to try to stop the bad guys. It's really well done. I'll leave it at that.
Well, there's one, and I don't think this is really a spoiler because like a lot of like the publications were showing this part off, but there's a chapter where you're playing with Price, or a mission that you're playing with Price, and you go into like this like not apartment complex, but like a house that has like 3 or 4 stories.
It's very close quarters, right?
Dude,
yeah, very close quarters.
That is a great mission.
But it's really intense. Like I didn't feel like I was playing Call of Duty. I actually felt like I was playing. Yeah, everything felt real.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's really well done is it's a lot of stealth, so it's a real quiet mission. But it's also like you don't know who's good or bad, and it's a lot of opening doors real fast but quietly. Or actually, they give you the option to bash them open if you want. But when you enter rooms, you have no idea who's going to shoot at you and who's just a bystander.
Yep.
And I will admit, I shot a mom. So, and the
was
baby
that when she was
crying.
picking up her baby? You jerk.
Yeah.
My
Shot
baby.
Price yelled at me too. He was not happy.
Yeah.
But that mission right there was like when I was like, okay, I'm not just playing. Like you're playing the same formulaic Call of Duty like campaign, so I'm not gonna sit here and be like they opened it up. It's open world. It's got RPG mechanics. No, it's still Call of Duty.
Yeah,
but it's the missions, like the way they're structured, is not. And I said this on one of the posts. It's not kill 20 guys that are all around like you're in a war. Go talk about chemical weapons. Go kill 20 more guys like you're in a little war scenario. There's more personable missions, there's more quieter missions, more stealthy, more intimate stories so far that I am enjoying this one more than I've enjoyed most Call of Duty campaigns for a long time. I'm kind of the same as Tim. For a while there, I was like playing every one of the campaigns and I would finish all of them and I would enjoy the stories, I would enjoy the gameplay. But the last few, I did play not the last one because it skipped a year, but the one before that. I did play it through, but I struggled with that one too.
The Advanced Warfare one, right? Was that it?
No, it was the old one, like the old military one. It feels like Band of Brothers.
Oh, it was World War II.
Yeah, War.
Oh,
yeah.
World War II. Yeah. Okay.
I played that one. That one's okay, but it was a bit of a struggle. I think this one's going to end up being better. This one feels better, and I like Price a lot, but it's not just Price; it's everybody.
They've introduced some other really cool characters too that I really.
They did really good with it.
They got some good actors. One of the main villains was actually an actor that I remember seeing, and remember that Stars. It's kind of a cheesy and over the top show called Spartacus, but he plays a character in Spartacus called Asher. And he's actually one of the better actors in there, and he plays one of these villains. He's very hateable early on. So anyway, they did a really good job with that too, with casting good villains, good side characters. The conversations are quick moving, just like all the other Call of Duties. But I feel more engaged, and I don't know what it is. Could just be like, hey, I was kind of open to this type of game right now. Maybe
just how realistic it is probably just bringing you in more.
I love it, man. I really, really love it. So I'm very happy with the last second decision Derek and I made to go ahead and grab this one. The reviews that are coming in are pretty good. Again, the biggest thing about Call of Duty is always the multiplayer, and I haven't tried any of that yet. I'm sure I'll get in and enjoy some of it. Towards the end, I began hating the standard like deathmatch modes and multiplayer, and I shifted much over to like the hardcore modes, the single shot kill type stuff, because then at least I felt like, all right, well I can't get stuck with some kind of weird bullet sponge situation where I feel like I shot that guy 18 times and then he shot me twice and I died. Yeah. That's the biggest frustration I feel like I had in multiplayer stuff. So I've played more of the hardcore modes and things like that, and I've had more.
Well, this one seems to have more options. Like it has its standard stuff, but it has like almost like a Battlefield one where it's a bigger map and it's got more players on it, and then they have a more intimate one where it's just a couple players on each map, and it's like you were saying, more hardcore as far as one-shot kills type thing.
Yeah.
So
overall, very positive on really both these games. So really exciting release date there on October 25th for both Outer Worlds and Call of Duty. So that does it. We're up on time. I know we're a little over time actually, and but I appreciate you guys.
Daniel's fault.
Daniel's gonna fall asleep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm again good with technology, unlike you stupid old man.
All right, let's dive into.
Can you believe that out?
For technology,
let's dive into college football chat.
Yeah.
College football.
Michigan.
All right, I'm out of here. See you later.
Got rid of Daniel.
We'll cut it off. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good night. See ya.
Who is your daddy? I am the father.
You fathers will understand.
My father taught me many things.
I got an idea. How about you all sit there quietly while I make dad noises?